How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Blade Bias. Today I want to talk about tuning washer balisongs, because this is something that people have a lot of problems with, and I'm here to tell you it is not that hard. It is actually quite easy, quite simple to do, and once you get it, once you know how to do it, you're all good. So this Mako currently has some tap to it, and that can be tuned out. So the easiest way, first of all, to do kind of what I do, you need to learn how to do this sound test. Just the basic ice pick sound test. You can also kind of do it that way, but it really works best if you can do the basic ice pick sound test. You don't have to be amazing at it, you just kind of got to know how to do it generally. So, with washer balisongs, you want to get them to a point where they swing freely, but they still don't have very much play. And just like that, you can tune the tap completely out of this, but I'll show you kind of how that goes. So a good, sorry if there's too much noise, it's noisy outside, it is what it is, Florida. A good metric is, of course, if it has tap, then you know it's loose, and if it doesn't swing, then it's too tight, obviously. But especially with washer balisongs, it is a very fine adjustment. And a lot of the times, especially when I first got my Mako, I thought that I liked it a little tighter in order to get rid of the play, when instead I was just hurting the swing, and it's a really delicate balance. But a good way to tell, a lot of the times with these, you'll give it a drop and you'll think, oh, that's pretty good, but when you actually go to flip it, it starts binding up. So a good way to tell is get it to a point it's as tight as you can get it with the swing still being good. And then here is why I mentioned that play test, or that sound test, I mean. Because although it might swing freely here, the sound test is a very fine wobble of the blade. It's very small movements. So if your washer knife is just slightly too tight, it's not going to bounce, and it's gonna sound something like this. Oh, well, that's a little too tight. If your washer knife is just a little bit too tight, it's gonna, well, maybe, yeah, it's gonna just kind of clack shut. Now it's loosening back up again. But if you do it just the slightest bit too tight, and you think it's good, but it's not really good, it's going to leave kind of like a, it's not gonna bounce. I'll see if it'll do it here. Yeah, like that. It's not gonna bounce. See? It's just gonna, you're gonna flip it up, it's just gonna clack shut. When in reality, you want it to be a very bouncy, very bouncy sound test. So, how I usually do it is I just tighten it. I tighten it till it stops moving, and then I loosen it the slightest bit till it starts swinging again. And this is just ever so slightly loosened enough so it starts swinging. So to me, this swing looks good, but I'm going to check if it's actually good by seeing if it bounces when I do the sound test. Because if it's even just the slightest bit too tight, it's not going to bounce properly, and that is going to affect the flipping of the trainer. So get it as tight as you can, loosen it until it starts to swing again, and then do a sound test. If it just clacks shut, it's still a little too tight. If it bounces, then you are all good to go. And from there, I don't like using Loctite. I think Loctite sucks. I use Teflon tape or any kind of tape or rubbery adhesive you can kind of put in there that's removable. I think Loctite sucks because there's so many times, especially on washer knives, one of the best things is that you can just take it apart, clean it, put it back together in a matter of 2 minutes. If you use Loctite, you can't do that, and every time you do that, it completely defeats the purpose of the Loctite. So I use Teflon tape simply because it does almost equally as good of a job, and you can just take it apart whenever you want and just apply new Teflon tape, and you're good to go as soon as you tighten it back up. Will has a video about using Teflon tape. I don't think I'm gonna make a video about that. Maybe I will, but I'm not entirely sure. But Teflon tape is super huge for washer balisongs. And tuning washer balisongs, I'm going to go back out here while I'm flipping so you guys can just kind of chill for the rest of the video because there's not really much else to show you. Tuning washer balisongs is not that difficult. A lot of people just don't, I don't want to say don't do it properly, it's just, it definitely is something to get over because everyone's so used to bushings that stay tuned and you don't have to touch anything. But washer balisongs realistically aren't that bad to tune. I think a lot of people just prefer bushings, and that's no problem at all. I definitely like bushings, but I also really love washer balisongs. The Mako is one of my favorites. Wow, this thing, I have been flipping my Kraken trainer a lot. This thing, grip. I mentioned it in my last video about when I unboxed the Makos. The sandwich Mako should 100% come back because if you're going to make a design that's this simple and this basic, make it sandwich so that you have grip on the sides, because right now a completely flat bead blasted surface has zero grip and it's kind of annoying. But anyways, the Mako, what was I going to say? Yeah, sandwich balisongs. I've always loved the sandwich balisongs because you can throw them in dirt, you can throw them in sand, throw them against concrete, blah, 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 whatever you want. All you have to do, unscrew the pivots, take the handle off, wipe it down with a paper towel, put it back together. You don't have to match any of the bushings, you don't have to make sure everything stays facing the right direction, you don't have to do anything. You just take it apart, clean it, put it back together, and you're good to go. It takes no longer than 2 minutes. Cleaning and maintaining a washer balisong is so incredibly simple, and that's one of the main things I like about it. I love just the ease of use of a washer balisong because I like to tinker with things. I like to try new oils, I like to try less oil, more oil, I like to try a bunch of different stuff. So having to painstakingly take apart my super tight bushing balisong is very annoying sometimes. And a lot of the times I like the Mako just because, hey, I know I'm going somewhere that's going to get dirty. I know I'm going somewhere, maybe I'm going to the beach, maybe I'm going whatever. I know if I'm going somewhere that it could potentially get dirty, it's going to be incredibly easy to clean. Because I had mentioned before, I made a video about cleaning bushing balisongs with brake cleaner, but there is still a point where you do want to take it apart if it gets too bad and just deep clean everything. But on a bushing balisong, that can be not only risky, but can sometimes be damaging to your knife because you put it back the wrong way or things are too tight from the factory. They're not supposed to be taken apart. But washer knives, you just unscrew them, take them apart. They are going to go back the exact same way you originally had it. Taking it apart doesn't hurt the tolerances. It's perfectly fine. And with Teflon tape, or if you want to use Loctite, you can. I don't recommend it. But with some good Teflon tape, a washer balisong will hold its tune fairly well. This thing still doesn't have tap, and I've been flipping it for a little bit. I've dropped it a few times. A good Teflon taped washer balisong will hold its tolerances. It doesn't. A completely uncovered screw will back out of a washer balisong in just a few minutes. That does happen, and I feel like that's what people get sick of, is that if you have just a completely dry screw and you put it in and you flip for 5 minutes and it backs out and you have to retighten it, that gets annoying. I'm telling you though, Teflon tape will save your life. Teflon tape makes it so you can flip, for example, the purple handle on this doesn't have any Teflon tape in it at the moment, or the Teflon tape is worn out, just because they've been flipping it and it's just been a while. So this handle gets tapped after a little bit. This blue handle, I have not tightened since I got it a few days ago, and I've been flipping this thing a ton because I love the Mako and I've just been wanting to give it another shot. It hasn't gotten any tap whatsoever, not even close. It hasn't even moved since when I got it. And you've seen me, I've been dropping this in the carpet in my room as well. So I can see the difference because one side has good Teflon tape in it and the other one needs Teflon tape reapplied because it's been a while. Or the other way around, rather. One side has good, blue handle has good Teflon tape, purple handle needs new Teflon tape. The purple handle will get tap within a couple minutes of flipping. Usually like half an hour of flipping, it has tap. 15 minutes probably. The blue handle I have not tightened once since I got it, and it has stayed rock solid. Teflon tape fixes the issues that washer balisongs have. So, properly tune your washer balisongs. Use a good oil in there. I originally liked really thick oil in my washer balisongs, but since there's so much more contact area, I'm starting to prefer thin oil or just very little oil. Since on a bushing balisong you just have basically the bushing spinning inside of the blade, which is what actually gives you play, or gives you the action of the bushing balisong. But on a washer balisong, you actually have the washer spinning against the blade. That is a very, very big difference in terms of friction and surface area. So thinner oil is starting to work better on washer balisongs. I kind of take back what I said a while ago about thick oil on washer balisongs. Starting to prefer thin oils, or if I do use thick oils, which I still usually do, I usually use Kanto oil. I just put a very, very, very small amount of it. That way it doesn't oversaturate my pivots and get cloggy and slow. Because on washer balisongs that does happen. But yeah, that is kind of my breakdown on washer balisongs and how to tune them and my thoughts on them. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Again, huge thank you to Disico for sending out the Mako V4.5 and the Mako V1. Go back to my last video if you didn't see that one. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I will see you all very soon. Peace out.